Hello and welcome to the Trauma Treatment Collective vlog. Today we're going to be talking about how to support clients or trauma clients in crisis. So during this COVID-19 pandemic, I have been really trying to say, okay, what can I take away from this to better my work, to better serve my clients, to make sure that I am prepared for things similar to this in the future. And one of the things that I have really been thinking a lot about is how do I support clients in the midst of a crisis? So before this, I had been kind of going through and just each client, if a crisis comes up, then, we would adjust based on that. But I've been really thinking about, okay, can I get a protocol? Is there something that I can do to make sure that, okay, these are the things that I want to go through no matter whether it is a global crisis or if it's a personal crisis. These are the things I want to go through with my clients to really help them and support them in their trauma treatment healing journey. And so I've really come up with a couple of things that I thought might be helpful if I shared for you to consider as you are thinking about this too. I think there's been lots of talk amongst social media about what businesses can do and how businesses can prepare, and what they can do to survive. But I really was like, okay, so what can I do and what can I think about in reference to my clients? So the first thing I came up with is really kind of assessing for safety. So of course, we're all trained to assess for safety anytime a client is going through a crisis. So thinking through, okay, is there any threat to themselves? Are they a threat to themselves or are they a threat to anyone else? If there is a threat to themselves or of someone else, then getting a safety plan in place to really be able to help them. I don't call them safety plans, I call them crisis plans, because I think that really helps clients to kind of, think of what they're going through as a crisis. But even if they are not at high risk of, a threat to themselves or someone else, I may still put a crisis plan in place, because the way that I do my crisis plans is really kind of really helping them to think about, okay, what are my internal coping skills and what are my external coping skills? And so this can be a really great way of really kind of bringing those things to the forefront and saying, hey, you really need to be working on these. You really need to be incorporating these in your daily life because you are under a lot of stress right now. So I may do a crisis plan with a client, even if I don't feel like they're a threat to themselves or someone else, just to hold them accountable to actually using the skills that they have on board with themselves and what they have already learned and making sure that they're using those. So that's the first thing that I would encourage you to consider is do you assess for safety, and how do you assess for safety? And then what do you do when you find that there is a need to kind of up the safety a little bit? So then the second thing I had on my list was revisiting and strengthening safety. So once you've assessed for safety and once you've been able to kind of really see where the client is as far as immediate threat, then you want to go back and do a lot of safety building activities and interventions with them that maybe you did at the beginning of treatment. You want to go back and reinforce those. So a lot of times I will do a lot of just co-regulation with clients, really checking in. I will do a boundary exercise and helping them to feel themselves within their boundary and how they want to protect themselves. Lots of things like that you can do to increase safety. And so you want to bring those back into the forefront, and you want to talk about them openly with clients of like, okay, how are you feeling? Are you feeling safe within yourself? Are you feeling safe within our relationship, in the context of our relationship? And are you feeling safe outside of session? Like, how are you feeling as you think about those three areas? And once you kind of think about those three areas and you assess whether clients are feeling safe in all of those three domains, you might want to go back and do some different activities within those three domains that are going to help to increase safety. If a client says, I'm not feeling safe in my environment, I'm not feeling safe within this relationship, I'm not feeling safe within myself, then you may want to go back and actually increase some activity around that. And then the third thing I thought about was a stabilization. So once I know that safety is in place and clients are feeling safe within themselves, they're feeling safe within the relationship, the therapeutic relationship, and then they're also feeling safe within their environment, then I'm going to look at, okay, what are the stabilization skills? So how can I help them to really dig into their stabilization skills, strengthen their stabilization skills, make sure they're using their stabilization skills. If you watched any of my vlogs on stabilization, then you know I'm not a big proponent of giving a client a skill and telling them go use it. I actually encourage you to use it in session with them, because that way you can really see if it's growing in its strength and its ability to really help them stabilize. Do they really know how to use it? Are they using it? You can assess a lot of different things if you're actually using those stabilization skills in session. So I encourage you to really make sure that you're practicing in session. So starting the session with the stabilization skill, ending the session with stabilization skill, having stabilization skills kind of scattered throughout the session might be a really great thing. And so if all three of those things are in place, then at the end of that stabilization, assessment process, and then kind of incorporating some skills in, if they meet all that, then they're going to not be in crisis, more than likely. So if you've assessed for immediate safety, then did kind of, long-term safety, and then did stabilization, more than likely if they can stabilize, then they're going to feel more grounded, more present, and they're not going to feel like they're in that threat response of a more of a crisis and things are kind of unraveling for them. So I really want to encourage you to think about, okay, what's my protocol for crisis? And what are the things that I take all of my clients through to make sure that we are in a good place? If there's a crisis going on globally, like right now, or if there's a crisis that they are experiencing personally. And so these are three things you can consider in your own work, whether you want to kind of use these as protocol or you want to add to or take away. If you decide, hey, there's something that I might have missed that you really kind of think is important, definitely let me know in the comment section. I would love to hear your thoughts and things that you consider when you're thinking about crisis and how to help clients move through crisis. But here's three things you can consider. I hope they are helpful. If you are not following on Instagram, make sure you find at Trauma Treatment Collective. Also on Facebook, we have a free group called The Trauma Treatment Collective. I'd love to have you be a part if you're not already a part. If you haven't been active, I'd love for you to dive in and let me know your thoughts. If you have thoughts on this topic, definitely feel free to send me a DM on Instagram or jump in the group and share your thoughts. Maybe someone else might have similar thoughts or questions about your thoughts, and we can have a discussion. I'd love to talk more in the comments here or actually on some of the social media platforms. Have a great day. Hopefully this is helpful for you as you're thinking about getting through this pandemic in ways that you can better your practice, and these are some things that you can consider. Take care. Bye-bye.